performing two numbers, say R1 and R2, so I'll repeatedly subtract R1 and R2, okay, and find its GCD with n value. So I'll be finding GCD until I'll get see that their GCD is equal to 1. Okay, so if their GCD is equal to 1, then those two numbers are what? Co-prime. So then definitely they could be the factors of n. Okay, so GCD Ri minus R1 minus R2 comma n. So if any one of its GCD is equal to 1, so then definitely they are prime they are co-prime, and then they'll result with what? The two large prime numbers. Okay, so this is how the RSA, somewhere practically we can find out what exactly the two prime numbers are. Okay, and the small exponent attack, so you all know the exponent, when it comes to the public key, usually it will be of a very small number. Okay, so if I manage to attack the channel and get some 3 ciphertext, okay, so I can simply go with the brute force technique, where I'll apply small numbers to raise to that, and mod n1 n2 n3. Okay, say like it is very much like c1 raised to 3 mod n1, c2 raised to 3 mod n2, c3 raised to 3 mod n3. Okay, so the ciphertext somehow I've attacked the channel and I've got it, c1, c2 and c3, and this n1 n2 n3 I have assumed this could be. Okay, so and 3, as I said, 3, 7, so these are the possible lesser exponent values. Okay, so if I have these 3 values, then I'll apply what? Chinese remainder theorem. So then I can easily find what is ciphertext. What is the value of n? What could be the value of n? So this is how Chinese remainder theorem could also help me out in identifying or attacking the text that is passed across the channel. Okay, and we have this side channel attack. Side channel attack is the best example that we could work with is smart cards. Okay, so you see this smart cards, how this smart card attackers or these hackers usually succeed is, see, they'll have equipments and all those things. Okay, they can like a person can steal, or he might manage to get the smart card of some person. Okay, but how will he manage to find what could be the pin? That is our question. Okay, again, as you all know, they'll have the equipments. So nowadays we have the cameras which might capture the pin numbers. Okay, so previously they were working with 2 main concepts, that is time and power consumption. Okay, so if it is consuming, if the system is consuming lot of power, okay, so then in your pin there are more number of ones. Okay, I mean to say its binary equivalent will have more number of ones. Fine. If the power consumption is very less, okay, so then your key will contain less number of ones. So this is how they used to work and get to know the key. Okay, so using that concept, they will usually attack and manage to sniff the passwords. Okay, so these things were happening in the initial days. So when it comes to side channel attack, it is all about the power consumption and time. Okay, see here we have, see, as I already said, we'll be relying on square and multiply. Okay, see, I can write its equivalent code. See, I is equal to given d n c. Okay, what we want c to the power of d mod n. Fine, so x is equal to, I'll just take x is equal to c, that is the ciphertext. I'll assign ciphertext to x. I is equal to k minus 2. What is k? K is nothing but the size. So size, how do I get? Log n to base 2. So I is equal to k minus 2. Why k minus 2? Each time I am squaring. Okay, so since I am squaring each time, I'll just take I is equal to k minus 2 until I is greater than or equal to 0. I'll be decrementing the for loop. So see, x ciphertext square mod n. So if di is equal to 1, then x is equal to x into c mod n. So return x. Are you understanding? So this is for c raised to 1. Okay, so here I'll get only multiples of 2. So last term will be, there is it, c to the power of 1. So for that purpose, this di is equal to 1. So then x is equal to x into c mod n, return x. So see here, so this loop will work for more number of times if you have more number of ones. If it contains 0, more number of zeros, so then this loop will work for lesser number of times. Are you understanding? So there the power consumption is less or greater, it all depends on number of ones and number of zeros. So thereby the attacker will be able to like, depending on the power consumption, he'll just assume what could be the number of ones. So thereby he'll be thinking of what could be the pin. Are you understanding? So this is how, or if this method is used to attack, then it is called as side channel attack. Okay, so in modulus factorization, you just highlight on Pollard row algorithm. Okay, in small exponent attack, you will be highlighting on Chinese remainder, and in side channel attack, you will be highlighting on this. Okay, time and power consumption. So you can just take the square. So this is conditional what method, this is unconditional. Okay, the same thing I've written, but this is for conditional and this is unconditional. That's it. Okay, this is about practical issues. And next obviously we'll have the applications. Okay, so what is the application of this RSA? So as you all know, the very first thing is to make the message secured. Okay, so this public key cryptography and secret key cryptography, so both of this two have got their own advantages and limitations. Okay, so the principal drawback of public key cryptography is speed. Okay, while the principal drawback of secret key cryptography is key management, because in secret key cryptography we'll have we'll have keys. So when I'm say if one person is communicating with 100, so he has to look into those 100 keys. He have to manage all those 100 keys whenever he is communicating with all those hundreds. Okay, that is the main thing. And when it comes to public key cryptography, the speed, it takes lot of time where we have to generate the keys, and then that key should be used for encryption again. It has to use its key to decrypt it. All this is a very tedious one. So to combine these two, secret key cryptography and public key cryptography, conveniently we'll go for session key. Okay, so what is this session key concept? Yes, so we'll be choosing some random number and I'll just consider that as session key. Okay, and this random number, how did I generate? I'll communicate that with the receiver B as well. Okay, so next I'll encrypt the message using that session key. Okay, so next that message whatever I'll have, so this message will be encrypted with session key. Okay, so once after that I'll encrypt the session key what I've used using the public key of receiver. Fine. Next I'll send the message that is encrypted, and also the session key that is encrypted using public key. Okay, so in the receiver end what happens? So in the receiver end, the receiver will make use of his public key. He'll decrypt the session key. Okay, sorry, I mean to say he'll make use of his private key to decrypt the session key, and once after he'll get the session key, he'll use that session key to decrypt the message. Okay, so thereby he'll get back his message. So this is how this session key concept, it is actually explained where it is actually we have explained it in applications. You can just explain the same in the applications. Okay, so then the final concept is to discuss about public key cryptography standard. Okay, so we have a lot of standards in this cryptography concept. So here we'll be using this public key in here, I mean to say for RSA, this public key cryptography standard. So in that ASH1, so it specifies. So usually, you know, like we'll end up with a plain text. So that plain text is maybe usually a very smaller one. So this smaller the smaller plain text, it could be, the plain text could be very small, or I might be interested to work with plain text very much securely. So for that, what we'll do is we'll go for padding concept. So we'll pad the plain text with a few number of bits. But again, you have to make sure how many number of bits I'll be applying, where I'll be applying, because the same thing should be conveyed to the receiver as well, so that you'll not misinterpret the plain text. Okay, so we have a method, the standard has actually described it. So we'll have initially 00 followed by that 02. This is hexadecimal value what I have written. Next some 8 bits of padding will perform, followed by that sequence could be anything that you wish. Okay, so this padding followed by 00. Okay, and next I'll have my plain text. So this 00 will indicate that after this we have the plain text. Okay, so without padding also you can do, where you will be just adding up so many number of zeros, so that will be conveyed to the receiver. So or else you can also go for short messages. If you have, then you'll have this random bytes, large number of random bytes added up to the plain text. So how this padding should be done, so that is actually given in public key cryptography standard. Okay, so this completes the concept of RSA. Thank you guys.